Hello and welcome to CloudFolks HUB. In this video, we are going to discuss about one of the most important feature of DynamoDB which can improve the performance of your DynamoDB up to 10x. Do you want to know how? Let's start the video. Here, we are going to talk about DAX. DAX means DynamoDB Accelerator. According to the AWS documentation, it can improve your DynamoDB performance up to 10x. But the question is how? I'm going to explain you DynamoDB Accelerator in full detail using this mind map. So let's start with introduction. DynamoDB DAX is a fast in-memory cache for your DynamoDB. It helps your application to run faster by storing frequently read data in memory. Instead of fetching data directly from DynamoDB every time, DAX gives you the data from its cache, which is much quicker. Now here I have this particular picture. Now if you look at this, this is our main DynamoDB table. Of course, whenever we are going to store data, we are ultimately storing this data into the DynamoDB table, and DynamoDB is actually using traditional storage like SSD or HDD. Now, here we have millions of records, but whatever the items that we are accessing frequently, we are actually storing this over here in the DAX cluster. We have to create this DAX cluster. How we can create this, how we are going to attach with the VPC, that I will explain you in upcoming video. But here, this DAX cluster is going to store all frequently accessed data from our DynamoDB table. And of course, this DAX cluster is going to store this data into the memory. Memory means RAM. You know, RAM having higher performance than the SSD and HDD. So, if you are going to use this DAX cluster, you are going to store frequently used data, or you are going to cache frequently accessed data into the memory, which is actually improving your DynamoDB performance. Now, we have to understand that why we should use DAX. You have a clear idea about it, but let's go step by step. The first use case of the DAX is speed. According to AWS documentation, DAX delivers up to 10 times performance improvement from milliseconds to microseconds. You know, this is a keyword for the DynamoDB questions related to the DAX in exam because they are using this keyword, right? You want your database performance in microsecond. Which option you are going to use? At that time, the answer is DAX. So keep this in mind. So DAX delivers up to 10 times performance from millisecond to microsecond, even at the millions of requests per second. So it is also providing us a scalability. So speed is a main point over here for using DAX. Then less load on the DynamoDB. Since DAX handles the read request, your DynamoDB table doesn't get overloaded. Look at this. Just imagine that you don't have DAX cluster here. Means whenever you are going to send any request from your web server, your DynamoDB is going to handle all this. But once you set up this DAX cluster in your application server, you have to install DAX client, and then using this DAX client, your application is just going to contact your DAX cluster. So all the requests will pass through the DAX cluster only. Now, if DAX cluster will find out this data into the cache, means your request will never forward it to the DynamoDB, means there is a less load on your DynamoDB table. Easy to use, just point your application to DAX instead of DynamoDB and it works like a magic. We have to install DAX client into our application server, but for practical detail, we will go for the next video. Handles traffic spikes. If your app suddenly gets more users, like during sale, DAX can handle the extra load without slowing down. So this is like kind of scalable option as well. Now, I want you to understand this particular point because this is the real explanation about how DAX works. First, for read requests. let's say that you are going to read some data from your Amazon DynamoDB table, how DAX is going to improve your performance. If the data is already in the DAX cache, it gives you the data directly. Super fast means microsecond latency. So let's say that here you just requested the data found from the cache. It will provide you data immediately without going to the main DynamoDB table. If the data is not in cache, DAX fetches it from the DynamoDB, store it in the cache, and then gives it to you. So if the data is not there into the cache, it will get it through the DynamoDB table, but then immediately it is going to cache this data. So definitely first request will not be super fast, but subsequent requests will be super fast, because once it is going to provide you data, it is going to cache this data into the memory. So subsequent requests will get awesome super fast performance as well. Now this is all about read request, but what if I'm going to talk about write request? When you write the data like adding and updating something, DAX sends it to the DynamoDB first, because ultimately you are going to store your data into the DynamoDB. But it is also going to cache this data as well. Once the data is saved in DynamoDB, DAX updates its cache so that next read request gets the latest data. So as soon as it is going to store the data, it is going to store this into the cache as well. So now again, subsequent read request is directly, you are going to get it from the cache, means DynamoDB DAX cluster, means it is super fast. Now, here it is a point number 4, where is DAX useful? Now here I am talking about this particular point. Why? Because if you want to pass AWS Solution Architect exam, you have to remember some keywords. For example, I gave you one keyword over here as well, that microsecond latency. If you are going to get this word, means there is a chance that they are asking question related to DAX. Same way, there are another lots of words as well, like buzzwords as well. Here, I'm going to talk about these buzzwords as well, because if you are going to find out this detail, you can easily find out that okay, they are asking question related to this. They are asking scenario based questions. They are not asking directly a simple question like where is DAX useful, right? So here I'm giving you some keywords. If you found these keywords into the exam, means they're asking about DAX. Okay, so let's explore all this.
Sorry to interrupt you. I know you guys are enjoying our video a lot, because our final ultimate goal is Solution Architect Certification exam. To reach the destination, we required full videos. To create our success story, here we have a 3 path. You can choose any of them. Path number 1, our 6-in-1 program. Our 6-in-1 program include all prerequisite skills which is needed as a cloud engineer. It include 24/7 support, lifetime update, section-wise practice test, full course practice test with tips and tricks by Bhavesh Atara, how to do exam preparation course, weekly lifetime live session with Bhavesh Atara, and 6 AWS project with documents. Path number 2, you can enroll by paying 499 and get Hindi and English, both the languages, videos of AWS. Path number 3, which is the last one, you can join our YouTube Elite membership. The choice is yours, how to create your success story by choosing best one. Best of luck. Thank you.